Okay, so I'm recording on this, so I'm just going to try it one more time. If it doesn't work, we're just going to go for it. And I'm not even going to take Dawn off. She can just listen to our little... I don't even care about, well, we never cared about professionalism before, so who cares, right?
I'm professional. You can tell by my used towel and my used...
I'm still trying to make sense of your background, so it's all right.
I could put a camera back there and make it look like high tech.
Oh God, no. Oh wow, okay.
So there's a camera there. That means I'm high tech. Here's some headphones for the camera.
You know what? Let's just go for it.
Yep. This stuff on my head. I should just have to do the whole interview.
Let's just go for it because it's not going to work.
Okay.
I don't know why, but
hi, I'm Frank Cunningham.
Oh, no. Hold on a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pork. What are you doing? That's the biggest part of the show. You can't be...
Give us that director's voice again.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pork and Bean Show, starring myself, Pork Cunningham, and the world's handsomest man, Frank Oliver Baines. How you doing, Frankie?
Good.
Well,
I have a high-tech background.
Oh, yeah, hey.
There's my camera. There's my hats for when I go out. That's a used towel, I think. That little white thing right there. That's a used napkin. I had a nice dinner the other day, and I just thought I would save that as a remembrance of my dinner. So I have a used napkin up there.
Yeah.
And the other thing is a little money pocket I got from the bank that's empty. But I remember that money. It was so much fun to have.
Hey, I'm going to fill that little pouch up with money so you can come out to the gathering.
That's great.
This year. We're gonna fly you out somehow.
Yeah.
Do you insist on first class or can you economy?
Oh, I don't care.
You can fly economy?
Sure.
Okay. You like to mingle with the common folk, do you?
Yeah, well, President Trump's got the coronavirus, so I'm sure they're going to shut down the whole world because of that.
I imagine. So it was an interesting show yesterday. I quite enjoyed it. I found out a couple things. Not only did I find out you're the world's handsomest man, well, we knew that anyway, right? And I was thinking, well, it's logical, it makes sense, but I actually did a little Googling on it, and you know what I found out? Well, you would know. You know that guy, the world's most interesting man?
Yeah, what about him?
You know that guy with the beer?
The guy who sells Dos Equis.
Yeah. Well, he's got a restraining order on you. You can't come anywhere within a 2-city blocks of him because it just blow his deal right out of the water.
I'm far more interesting than he is.
And far better looking.
I know.
I mean, so. Anyway, so...
But I want to talk to God.
But you kind of crushed my ego was kind of, well, not really, I don't know, kind of crushed yesterday, because I found out that you're the world's handsomest man and a wizard.
Yeah. But listen, I sent you a message about that just because you're an elf. You have to go back and watch.
Yeah. Hey, I'm an elf.
Go back and watch the Lord of the Rings. The Elven kings, the Elven people, they were like amazing. They're powerful and sexy, and they got beautiful women. I'm not sure why you should even be ashamed of being an elf, even though, they were warriors and stuff. Go back and watch the Lord of the Rings. Yeah, didn't watch the Lord of the Rings.
They're good people.
They're the sexiest people out there. They're the magical elves in the.
No, I was like crushed. I was like crushed. I thought, not only am I dealing with the world's...
Just because you have a bad self-image about elves, that doesn't mean it's true. Elves are
okay.
Cats, man.
Well, I guess, okay.
All that kind of stuff, and sexy and all that,
Well, certainly That certainly applies.
All I got
So,
is this Gandalf thing going on.
yeah, well, I was kind of
And
crushed
you
for a
notice
while.
he
I thought,
didn't get any girls in the whole movie.
who, Gandalf?
Yeah, he had to fight the what do you call it, dragons or something.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He didn't get, yeah. And actually, the elfin guys got a lot of good-looking elfin ladies, didn't they?
Yeah.
It was happening. It's happening for those guys. Maybe I am happy about that. So,
You could be
Don,
king of the elves for all you
yeah,
know.
Don Nicholson, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Because of all our technical difficulties, I don't give a damn about the opening anymore. We're just going to get right into the meat of the matter. So, what do you know about elves? Is that okay? Is it a compliment to me?
I have been told that I am elven also, so that means we would be kin. So I'm cool with that.
So
And
tell us
Mike,
about.
and Mike is right. We are magical. We are ancient. We're sexy. Come on.
Tell us what you know about the elfin people. I mean, for real. Our folk, our kinfolk. What do you know about them?
This is an insecurity show. This is like, let's face our insecurities.
They are the ancient elemental beings, and so we can work with all the elements. So, what is your expertise? What do you like? Earth?
Mine? What do I like?
Hot air, mostly.
Well, I work with Mr. Bean, so yeah, I work with a lot of hot air. Yeah. I don't know. I like being out in the woods and the forest and nature and stuff. That's where I'm happiest. And I like to sing and criticize Mr. Beans, especially behind his back. What else do I like to do? Being creative and stuff. I guess that's elf stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You like going out into the magical woods. Only you can go out in the magical woods the way you do. You have this magical wood thing going on. Why are you complaining about that?
Well, I had to think about it. And when Dawn came on and told me elves are pretty cool people, and I thought, maybe that's all right.
You know, when Sasquatch gives you a rock, right? He gives you a rock as a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think about that rock?
I'm very grateful for it. Or is that what you mean?
Yeah, but what does it mean? What does it mean, that rock? What do they mean?
Well, it's a gift of endearment. So they love you or whatever. But actually, well, I've got 3 gift rocks. I got to figure out what they mean because my girlfriend Sue keeps telling me there's something for me to do with them. Some other lady said there's something for me to do with them, so I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with them. But I know they're.
What do you say? A Y stick lift, right? So Y stick lift is man and Sasquatch connected, all one, right?
Right. Yes.
Right?
For me.
But what is the rock? Think about the rock.
Well, I can think about it in context to glyphs. If I find like a single rock with a glyph or something, it usually represents the clan member or something. And I've actually seen like a glyph with 4 or 5 different rocks of different sizes. And to me, that means there's like 5 and they're size appropriate too.
Well,
is that what you mean?
In my view, water and rock make life, right?
Yeah.
Let me put it in another context. Mountains have wisdom. You can talk to a mountain. You can talk to a lake. You can talk to a river, right? But is the wisdom and knowledge of a rock, small rock that's a gift, is it less than the wisdom and knowledge of a mountain?
No.
No. So there's the wisdom and knowledge of a mountain, of the whole earth. There is the truth and the memory of the whole earth in a rock. The fragment of the mountain has the whole mountain in it. The fragment of little piece of the earth has the whole thing in it. It's the same thing if you get a stick, a little peeled stick, is you have to look in what is that stick? That stick represents life, and it represents the tree, and it represents the wisdom and our knowledge. And you know what I mean? It's like if you think of it that way, it's a completely different thing going on. You know what I mean?
Well, that's
And
the same as
we are the fragments of the great creation of the universe, right? And in that fragment of the universe, in that little rock, that little pebble that we are, is the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the same with us, of course. And that's why when the Sasquatch are working with you and enhancing you, and sometimes they give you a download or a zap, like at my highest vibration, I felt like there was nothing, I didn't want to know anything, but I didn't need to know anything. It was like I knew everything because it was the connection. Same kind of thing as what you're talking about with the rock, right?
Yeah, and it's one of the things that the ET people are teaching us too, is that we're all one. We're connected. There is no higher and lower in reality, right? Like a rock isn't lower than a bird or a tree, you know? It's not really. It's not. We think of it that way. Oh, but in reality, no. There's the same. There's a unity in all things, you know.
Well,
And
can I ask you?
when the ET people come, they say, "We are you. You are us. We're you in the future, or we're the same." You know, there's a sameness to all things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I totally understand that. But I wanted to ask you. You've got rock friends that you talk to, right?
Well, I had this one rock god that I talked to. I talked to a rock.
Well,
god.
if you ever talk to him again, ask him, what am I supposed to do with my rocks?
I think you just listen to them, you know, just value them.
Don,
I was thinking about extremes, right? If you have extreme, like if you do extreme exercise, right, then your body vibrates and gets better, gets healthy and fit, right? If you do extreme emotional release, then your emotional body balances out, right? If you, let's say you fast for 6 days, which a lot of people say fasting for 6 days is extreme. So, but you do extreme fasting for 6 days and your whole digestive system and all that kind of stuff just balances out. And then, you know, if you go extremely angry, you vibrate a whole bunch of negativity out of you. Or like you get involved with Sasquatch or a person and you really love to an extreme, that it's that extreme that changes you, you know? And I think that's one of the messages that we have to be willing to just get out of our comfort zone and do some extreme things to stretch the boundaries of, you know, of who we are. And the Sasquatch, and okay, in terms of changing people, both the ET people and the Sasquatch people can give you extreme feeling of higher vibration of love. And it's just that extreme vibration of love that changes people. Oh, there's the God, and there's the truth, and the sky, and the nature, and people, and the, you know what I mean? Because that extreme love. So,
I know, I felt it
about that a little while ago.
You can't come back from that. You can't, you know,
can't come back
you're changed once that happens. So Dawn.
Yes.
Tell us about the council.
The council of councils. The council of all councils.
It has. Okay, so let me go back a little bit while you guys were talking about the stone people. So there are stone people that are part of the council. There's every type of group that you could think of that are part of the council. And so I've had interactions with many different, I don't know if you want to call them species or just life forms. And they are all unique. All of us are unique. And then we're all a part of the bigger picture. We're part of that puzzle. And so the council has spent the last 4.5 years basically educating me and teaching me about myself, teaching me about different races, teaching me about what the council is here doing, what their purpose is. And so if you start with their purpose is an alliance of benevolent beings, benevolent races. And therefore you have multiple councils. Now, I don't have a list like a running list where, you know, they mention somebody's name and I write it down. But throughout my journaling during this time, there are key players, key groups, and the Sasquatch are one of those key groups on the council. And so we know more as a group, meaning the people that are interested in Sasquatch and stuff, we know more about the Sasquatch because we share information with each other. The information you share with the glyphs and the writings and the messages is all important. And for me, what they have done with me is they've worked as healers with me. They've worked as educators, and just as friends. And so a lot of my intermingling with the Sasquatch is they portray like an image of themselves, like within my mind. And they, so then I know, am I speaking with, you know, children? Am I speaking with an elder? Am I speaking with one of their medicine men or medicine women? And so I have different interactions with them. And when I was being attacked the first couple of years, I would experience various types of attacks, which the council shared with me that they knew those attacks were going to come. They allowed them to happen to a certain point so that I could learn from it and so that I could relate to people who have had similar experiences so I could help them work through it and get to the other side. And so my personal role with the council, I think right now is I'm working as a healer, and I'm working as somebody who, as the ambassador, spreads their message of love, their message of inclusion, and I work with individual people. And so at the most recent secret family gathering where we spoke there at Kettle Falls, there in the campground, I was able to share some of that information, and I don't know if anybody caught it and recorded it on camera or if people just took individual photos when I was speaking. But my introduction of the council really was to let everybody know, like, us who are in human suits here on the planet, we are the ones that are known as the Rainbow Warriors. And so we all have seats on the council. And so when I spoke to that group, when they say everybody has seats on the council, everybody has a seat on the council. And so in the future, Ari or somebody might come to you and say, okay, we're gonna work on the education side. Do you wanna be on this committee with me, Brian? And help to re-educate everybody on the planet and what the whole truth is. And so each of us will have our bliss, where we find our bliss and our joy. We'll be able to work with that, whether it's healing people, plants, animals, water, the earth, raising food that's organic and good. I mean, the council has talked about what the future world is going to look like and how it will be in the future, which basically is peace. And we don't know that. We haven't experienced that in our lifetime. We have been part of this programming and conditioning, and a lot of us are breaking free of it. A lot of us, I guess in many ways, a lot of us were already free of it because we were considered, you know, a little different, a little off. But I'd rather be a little different and a little off and be kind of standing there at the forefront to assist and work with people. So I'm open to lots of questions, and since you're not live, you really don't have questions coming in from individuals, but you might have some in the future that you can share with me and the council can answer.
Well, okay. Well, I've got a question just to look at it. See, he's already got his interest piqued.
Mm-hmm.
What is the council saying about Mr. Beans?
That's what I want to know.
That's
the only reason he comes on. He wants to know what everyone thinks of him.
Well, that's exactly the question that Mike asked last time when he came on. He said, "What does the council have to say about me?" And
he wants to hear it again, I guess. Or don't worry, we'll get into some serious stuff too.
Oh yeah. Okay. For Mike, I think your answer was in your 3-hour meditation. And so the council would like for you to share what you got in your 3-hour meditation the last time when I was supposed to speak. Because I think you found out what the council thinks and what they feel about you during that meditation.
Oh, that's deep.
Oh yeah, they can be, and they're very much like the Heyoka. As far as educational and teaching people things. And so there's no accident that you went into a 3-hour meditation. What I find is that in many ways, when people are coming to me and they have a personal issue or they want something, they've been led to the council to talk to the council. The council doesn't just hand them the answer. It's like, you know, teaching somebody how to fish versus handing them the fish. And so they get them to be proactive in their growth and their change in themselves. So.
Okay.
Yes.
How about me?
They love you. They love you. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's why I think they were buzzing the crap out of you and Ari was, because I think Ari already is a member of the council and knows that Ari is a member of the council. And so they love you. They love your work that you're doing. It's not an accident that we're all sitting here and talking, and I wish it was live so that other people can chime in and share.
Do they like me better than Mr. Beans?
No, they wouldn't go there, because that's not a positive way of thinking. Everybody's loved. Everybody's loved.
I know. I'm totally joking. So yeah, I mean, is that thing still buffering or what? Oh no, I guess it's done. I'm going to try again while we're talking. Mr. Bean, say something half intelligent, and I'll try to share again.
He's still thinking about his meditation. He's getting his answers. He's got a.
Oh, what you mean? He's doing a 3-hour meditation now?
No.
I mean, like, will we even know the difference?
Yes, we would.
Say something, Beans. I'm going to try to get on the show again.
What do you think? What it is? It's like on one of these things where you put in a quarter and you push a button. Is that what it is?
Yeah, just wind her up and start talking, man.
I would if you calm down a little bit. Some things have to start out and evolve and roll, and you know. So if you know, like the last decent meditation I had, that was like extended or extraordinary or whatever, was I was with a living perfect master, and he came to me in my dream a little bit. I was kind of sleeping, and he said, he was like laying down, sort of like the laying down Buddha kind of guy. And he said, take the gift. And, you know, but when he said, this guy's a living perfect master, right? Archangel class guy. And it's like, you know, when he said, take the gift, that was the whole of the whole story, all of it, you know what I mean? From here to source and back. So, and then he opened his mouth to smile like this, you know? Mm-hmm. And light was coming out of his mouth.
Oh, wow.
And so when he said, take the gift, right? The gift is that light of creation. The gift is that who we are. We are not individuated packages of troubles and traumas. We are source. We are the light. We are creation. and we are what created. So to take the gift, to own who we are, you know, that's like a big deal.
It
because
is.
you know we still struggle with this thing of being a god, right? We think, oh no, I'm an infinite little piece of nothing, right? Or I'm not worthy, or whatever. Or if I say that I'm a god, then that means I have a grandiose ego and there's something wrong with me, or I'm in, you know, whatever, or I'm crazy. But you have to be able to own it. You have to be able to own that not only are the you are the gift, and you are the giver of the gift.
Right.
You know, and there's no real separation there.
Hey, Beans, I got some work for you to do.
I'm just talking about profound stuff, and you're talking about chit chat.
Yeah. There's Barbara says she's going to come on, but she wants you to, and I don't know, they've changed like the Facebook and everything all around, like totally. So I don't even know how to accept people into our group anymore. She wants you to, Joanne Cormier or something wants in. Maybe she wants to come on the show or something. So can you accept her invite? And while you're doing that, so Dawn,
Yes.
what is it? What is the council saying, or what is it about the year 2012? It seemed like so many people just woke up in 2012, or what was special about that year?
The information that they're giving me about 2012 is that there were a lot of pivotal points that took place during that time. And if you talk to people like Michael Lee Hill, he will share with you about the A.R. Borden group, and that they helped, they were working with a group of alien beings, and they helped move, my understanding, the planet Earth out of the way of an impact. And so my understanding is that took place in 2012 with that group.
Which group is that, sorry?
A.R. Borden's group. And so have you guys had Michael Lee Hill on your show? You guys should have him on your show.
I've never heard of him, sorry. But
I like him a lot. He's a guy who kind of woke up one day and found out he was an Anunnaki. Which is kind of cool, you know?
Yeah.
And they came to him and like said, listen, you know, we did this and that, and here we are now, and you know, it was all pretty cool. So yeah.
That is cool. The only thing I wake up to is the bill collectors.
He's a major player. I mean, he's not like a lightweight.
Oh no, he's full of information. And so Joanne, who I don't know if you've let her in the group yet, but Joanne and Barbara, myself, Stacy, we were all in Eastlake, Ohio, and Mike was sharing with us the special mound there and some of the sites in Eastlake where he did his photography of all of the orbs and the basically the spaceships. So we did actually see, we had a flyby when we were both at Lake Erie and then also at another location where the ship basically was showing off a little bit and flaring up in front of us so that people could capture it on video and camera. And so we were there with Garrett Duncan, with Bill Holman, with the Mitchell Hedges Crystal Skull, Chief Golden Light Eagle, Sarah, Maritza. Garrett had, Eric was with him, Tammy, Paul, Daniel. It was a really cool group, but it was basically a group of speakers and presenters who were gathering, who were all friends and kind of recharging our batteries and stuff. And so the council is very active in several of their lives. But just like there are elven members or members that are elemental. There's members who are the Anunnaki or the Sam. There's the Octurians, the Pleiadians. Lots of different groups within the council.
So you were hoping that people ask you questions, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because the council will give you the answers?
On some of them, yes, they will definitely give answers. And so if it's a question that's sensitive, they may not.
I'm just wondering, am I really an elfin? Can you ask them? And why do I only connect with Sasquatch? No, I'm serious.
Well, the Fae beings, so the elven people, those are some of the most ancient beings, the elementals. And so that includes some dragons, that includes, like if you think of unicorns and the little people and all of this, the Fae magic and the Fae people are very close with the Sasquatch and the indigenous people. And so I will have them tell me exactly who you are as far as race. And how they do that is they look at your soul signature. So our soul signature is very similar to like a fingerprint. Where
are they doing it now? Because I kind of feel something.
They might be. I don't know. They might be because they're everywhere. And if Ari is part of the council, Ari probably already knows exactly who you are. But
well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Are they answering or?
Not right now, not this second. So they're gonna, maybe they're studying you right now.
Ah, okay. Isn't this amazing? You know, before 2000, I'm still a pretty practical guy, believe it or not. With all the experiences that we've all had, to still remain practical, it seems impractical. But I'll tell you, before 2012, as open-minded, creative, artistic as I was, talking about elves and dragons and dwarfs and everything, I would have said, okay. something wrong.
Something's going on with you, man.
Something. You're off your meds.
Yeah.
But you know, but we all know that we've all seen magic, and like it's just. Yeah.
My life changed in 2013 when 4 members who are elven who came and they did a healing on me and they gave me a message. And so they came in 2013 and they basically, while I was asleep, they pulled me out of body, walked me down the hallway and outside into my front pasture. And they told me that I didn't need to cry anymore and that they were here to right the wrongs. And I am very empathic and would feel like the suffering and stuff going on around the planet. In my dream state, I would often be at natural disasters or events right before they happened or as they were happening. And so I did cry a lot for the planet and all of its inhabitants. And so how these elven beings looked, they were beautiful. They were this pure white, brilliant light that had blues and violets and stuff running through them. And that love that they shared with me was, I'd never felt that before on this human plane or this 3D existence. It was
it extreme?
Oh my gosh, it was like over the top. I could pull off of it for months later, lower my blood pressure when I'm sitting there taking my blood pressure, and I could think about them and that love, and it would drop my blood pressure for me. They got me off all my meds. They did a lot of stuff and a lot of work with me, prepping me in the beginning before they even started to talk to me telepathically, because the telepathic communication in terms of like how you and I are communicating right here, where we're going back and forth with sentences and stuff, is they started that with me in May of 2016. But now, looking back, they had been communicating with me throughout my life. They had been the ones who warned me when I would get visuals of, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in an auto accident unless I slow down and get over. And all these different, what I call weird woo-woo things that happened in my life, it was them. They were there, they were protecting me, they were making sure I went in the right direction. And so what they told me is that many of us who are the if you want to call us way showers or leaders, that are basically up front right now. Our lives were orchestrated in many ways so that we could be exposed to what we needed to be exposed to. They still allowed us to have free will, to make mistakes, especially with relationships and stuff like that. And so when they've talked to me about how they've been preparing us, it makes a lot of sense. So the logical, analytical part of me is going, oh yeah, that's a good plan. I would do that too, because you really need leaders of all different age groups. You know, we can't just be, you know, 60s, 70s, 50s. You've got to have them all the way down to the little ones. And we're seeing that. I think we're seeing that all over. So I really respect the council, and I believe in them 110%. I know they're here to set the earth free from the dark influences, and that they're here to spread love. They're here to share that love with everybody. And so,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I have a thought. So, you know, the Sasquatch have told me over and over, showed me, illustrated,
It's a strange place.
in so many, what?
You said I have a thought.
What, Beans?
You said I have a thought, and I said treat it nice. It's in a strange place.
I know. I haven't had many up there. Now I forgot what it was. Oh yeah. See what you did, Beans?
What?
No, I totally forgot what I was going to say.
You were going to share with how the Sasquatch have been working with you, Brian, and how that relates to preparing you, I think.
No. It was something. It was actually something pretty. It was actually something pretty good.
Oh,
And then,
okay, all right.
okay, there's one for Beans. So Donald, if you want to make a comment or say something, just feel free. Just join in the conversation if you want. So what was I going to say? Darn it. Oh, yes. The Sasquatch are, a lot of my lessons have revolved around time. Like they really hammered that thing home that, you know, that time, our 3D linear understanding of time doesn't exist for them. It's like totally different. So with that in mind, you know, I've often heard that we've already won. People are talking about the war between light and dark, and they say we've already won. So I guess if time doesn't exist, then the council must already know that we've already won. What do you think of that?
The council told me that they already won a long time ago, like at least 2 years ago. They told me that, but they also told.
Is that because?
Well,
sorry, is that because of what? Is that because they the future, the past, and whatever is it doesn't? Because they already know, like because of what I said, or
because of what you said, because you're the last to know, and once the last one to know, that's the way it is.
No, okay. So how? Okay, so this is how they have described time to me. So there is linear time, but because many of the higher races and the higher beings are masters of traveling the timeline, they can go with their consciousness, they can go physically forward, backwards, but they already know that they've already won. And how I understand it is we as humans are living through what's going on right now, because they're not just going to come and give us the fish. They're not just going to clean up everything and hand us this planet without us learning how bad it has been and what's going on and how people have been suffering, so that we don't repeat those things, so that we understand that there's certain behaviors that should not be taking place. And the council has some very strict, what they call universal laws of creation, universal laws of purity, and they follow certain protocols with everything, and how they introduce information, knowledge, And so for me, it's a steep learning curve. It is really steep for me. So they let me catch up. So like if they give me a bunch of information, I, as Dawn, have to play catch up. I might get some downloads and information and stuff, but I have to play catch up and integrate that into my life. And because I'm still here existing on this plane. And so my consciousness might be able to travel and communicate and talk to different people, but I still have kind of that lead ball hanging around my ankle and keeping me from doing even more. And so I'm in a learning stage too.
Yeah, and plus we have to do our own work. I just don't think you can just be, you know, you got to do your own work. Yeah, that's the way it works.
You have to do your shadow work. You have to back, and the council has helped me with that. But there's many different ways that people can do that. You can use Ho'oponopono for that. You can just go back and if in your meditation or prayer, however you do it, it really is kind of going back through your whole life. And if you were in an abusive childhood or something, it's going through that forgiveness of yourself and those who harmed you. And you just work your way through your life. And we have to love ourselves. That's one of the biggest things that they have basically been trying to hammer into my head is you don't love yourself enough. You have to love yourself more. That doesn't equate to, oh, you've got this huge ego and you're full of yourself. It really has to do with knowing who you are inside and really owning it and loving who you are, mistakes as well as, you know, the positive parts.
So are we looking at 300 years here to catch up to where the world is, where we think it's going to be next week, you know?
No, I actually think it's going to be, they have not given me dates, so they will not work with dates. And I think that's because once you put dates out there, if they truly are still dealing with war and they have certain things that they've got orchestrated and planned out, that potentially throwing dates out there can cause hiccups in their system that they're working. But what I understand is the bulk of the hard war is going to be over with by the end of 2020, which means we've got 3 months left, which means a lot of shit would need to take place in that time frame. And 2021 is going to be about official first contact. It's going to be about really sharing information about different groups, different races, species, origins, and, you know, sharing information.
That's good news, because this is one of the things that I get from my Sasquatch friends, is that what they're doing is the ETs really want to come and set up shop. You know, they want to have repair stations and learning centers and engineering, and they want to have all those different, so that any of the galactic people can come, and there's someplace where they can get supplies or teach or learn or whatever, right? They don't want to do it in cities. They want to do it in the rural areas. Mm-hmm. And they also want to, so they have a couple of things that they need. They need psychics, very good, strong psychics as interpreters, because nobody's going to be speaking English or German or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they need psychics, and then they need the people to be able to be comfortable with things that do not look human. Mm-hmm. And that's where the Sasquatch come in. The Sasquatch are coming in and making all the people in these rural communities aware that the Sasquatch are there, and then that they're basically, eventually, over time, they're going to get to where they're not harmful, they're benevolent beings, and they're good to have as friends. And it's that breaking that ice in the rural communities and in the sort of the world consciousness that non-human intelligent beings are pretty good friends to have. And so they're laying the foundation for that first contact, and eventually, you know, to have these repair stations and outposts and learning stations all over the world. But they're not going to be in the big cities, and they're not going to be in the government. They already have people working on the government side that would give them the government what they need.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big deal to have the Sasquatch and the ETs working together for the same goal, which is to bring the Earth into the galactic familyhood.
Yeah. And
how do you see first contact happening, Don? How do you see it happening?
How they have shown me visually is that there will initially be the different ambassadors that are throughout the planet that are working with different groups already. And those people will come forward with the people that they're working with. And they've shown me like huge stadiums where we're there and everything is going to be televised, where they have plenty of stage room where they can bring people up and introduce them and let them talk. And it all seems real to me. It seems like when they've taken me to those visions that they're taking me there, witnessing what will happen in the future. And so that's my personal take on it, is it will be very public.
Is Beans on? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. I was going to say, is Beans on the docket? Is he scheduled to talk?
I don't know. I think his meditation told him that. And I really think that accept the gift, I think, you know, we do. And a lot of us, we're afraid of these gifts because of how we were raised. Maybe we were raised up in a very, I'll just use, you know, a very strong Christian environment where, you know, you don't talk to psychics, you don't talk to other things because it's all bad, it's all scary and stuff. So a lot of us have to kind of get over our conditioning and programming to accept the gifts and accept it and be joyful about it.
Yeah. No, that I absolutely agree with that, because you know, strong boxes of belief, you know, and most people just will not step outside of that box. I mean, that's Sasquatch told me so. Another point they hammer at home, you know, like, you know, you get these downloads and these thoughts, and they're kind of guiding you along, you know how it works. And boxes and circles were big, you know, like you got to step out. You know, people say step outside of your box, but you really have to, you know, because that's where the learning is, right? You know,
right.
That's where the real learning
is. You have to push that discomfort level. And with me, what the council did is they allowed certain things to take place so that I could learn, and that it did push me beyond that understanding of reality and stuff. And being pushed really does help you grow and mature, but it's been a process for me. It's definitely a process.
So you said there's a number of councils, but you work specifically with one? Or a number of them?
I work with, I would say, if you think of like an umbrella council, I work with that one. And that's the one that's the Sacred Spiral of Purity and Light High Council. And how they describe to me is that you have groups within the council. If you think of like a wedge of a pie, you've got all this group within this wedge, and these wedges are throughout the whole council. So when I've been privy to sit in and witness a council meeting or vote, it is like they take you consciously to a meeting space with your mind, and you have to have, you know, quiet and privacy and stuff to participate. You can't have a lot of outside 3D interruptions and stuff. But when they go around and they talk to these different groups, the guides who work with me, who are the elven people, who are my people, they show me images of who's talking, what type of race it is. They are the ones who do that interpretation that comes to me in English, where the being might be speaking in a star language that I've never heard of before. And so they will interpret for me into English and let me know, you know, what's being discussed. And they have talked about the various committees about how they're going to feed the population of the world in the future. They've talked about education, healing centers, and basically cleanup of a lot of the waste and our dump sites, our Superfund sites, you know, cleaning up all of that. That's all planned, and there are committees that will be participating in it, and it will happen at a rate that is going to be rapid, because the actual technology and the information that's available with the council is massive compared to what we know down here or what we've been led to believe. And so they will be removing a lot of the junk off of the planet and basically transmuting it into something different. And so those take the prime creators, the actual races that can transmute something and turn it into something different. And so they're all working together. And that's what I like about it, because I'm an inclusive person, and that's how I manage my business and my staff. And if dishes need washed, I would get in and wash dishes. And so that's who I am. I'm an active leader. In other words, I'm right there with you in the fray and doing the work. So that's kind of who I am.
So how does the ascension or whatever, I don't know, maybe that's not what's going on, but when we come out of this and are we going to be on like the same earth, but just a more peaceful, more aware, consciously aware, or are we going to be, are we going to be in like the fourth or fifth dimension? Is our vibration, well, our vibrations will be higher, obviously, but how does the process work? Do you know what I mean? Did I explain that well? Or?
Yeah. So the whole fifth dimension movement, and that movement to move us into a consciousness, that served different purposes, and this would be according to the council. It started to bring together people that the council wanted to identify. The limiting ourselves to 5D isn't what's going to happen. Many of us are operating at multidimensional levels already that are way beyond 5D. We just don't fully understand that and what that means, because we don't have a little checkoff list that says, oh, well, if you're doing this, that you're actually at, you know, the 11th dimension or the 13th. There are people within the indigenous communities that are actually operating at like the 13th, 12th, and 11th. And wow, that's where they're doing their bulk of their work. And so the whole thing about, you know, everybody who's dark is going to die off, and everybody who's light is still going to be here, and it's going to be a kumbaya thing. A lot of that is, according to the council, is just fluff. It's just filler information. And actually the truth is that we do have work to do here. We have to want to do the work. We have to want to have teachers. That's what I believe our group is we're going to become the teachers, the way showers, the people that will take in groups and educate them.
Which is what's kind of happening now, right? It's kind of happening now, but on a different, you know. Yep, go ahead. Take groups in and educate them.
Yeah, and I've also heard that, you know, we're going to have a second moon that is going to be flown in and basically put there to protect us. And I've heard recently from somebody that there is something that is supposed to hit our current moon and cause some of those pieces to break off. I really don't know what to personally think, because the council has told me that yes, there will be earth changes, yes, there will be death, yes, there will be things that take place, but when it's finished, it's not going to be the same. Let's repeat the cycle again, and it'll be, we're going to be in a different place.
I heard about a meteor shower that we're moving into. It's like in part of the galaxy, the Earth, the sun has been moving around the galaxy, and we're coming into this higher energy. But the space junk in that realm is pretty dense. So we're gonna have meteor showers like we've never seen before for the last 26,000 years, whatever it is. It's been a long time since we had, and that's possible. I don't know if that's true, but I've heard that from a couple of places. So it might have something to do with that.
That's part of what I heard, why there will be a second moon flown in and put there, is to protect the planet from basically impacts. There's a gentleman.
If you have a rock hit Earth that's the size of a bus, you know, that's a pretty big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. There's a gentleman over in Italy. His name's Timothy Roberts. I don't know if he's in any of your groups or not, but Timothy is somebody that I heard independently from him that second moon is going to be flown in. So I've heard it from Michael Lee Hill, and I've heard it from Timothy Roberts, and they don't talk on the same groups. You know, they're not part of the same groups, so they're independent. So, you know, I know that the council purposely doesn't tell me everything that's going to happen because they want me to live this experience too. So they're not going to just give me all the answers, and I have to live through it. I have to be able to think. In other words, I'm evolving and growing as a person, as an individual, with these experiences and how I integrate them into my belief system and what I think. And so that's going to continue with all of us. We do have to still battle our shadows and deal with things that trigger us and everything until we get to a certain point where we're all on the same page, and you know, peace is that page, and I believe that that's where we're at. So we've got some more people coming in here. We've got Deborah.
Yeah. I put a yeah. Hold on a minute. My headphones went off.
Deborah says she's just listening in.
Well, ask her. She should come on and see if, because then we can get people to ask Dawn questions like she wanted, right?
Yeah.
I don't know where she is. There's supposed to be 6 people in here now, but they're not showing up.
Oh, I see that. I see that. I see the troublemaker arrived. The scoundrel from down under.
Yeah, just sorting out a few technical difficulties.
He's got a whole galactic council all to himself.
Yeah. I know.
So how many members are in your council, Dawn?
Oh,
or the Galactic Council?
They've told me that there's over 1 million members.
Oh.
So it's huge. And so those that work the closest with me are the elementals.
Oh, okay. But when you said the Galactic Council, I was thinking of the classic, like 12, you know, and then I was going to ask you, can you describe them, like, you know, like the individuals? But no, 1 million, that we don't have a long enough to do that. But how? But I guess there's probably, well, I guess there's a lot of different races, entities, whatever.
Why don't you try to describe some of the ones that you've seen that don't look human, just to give us a little image of what you've seen.
Oh, wow. So I've seen these generals who have like the ram head. So they have like a human looking face and they stand upright like a human, but they have the ram, the curly horns. And then, I hear somebody in the background. I've seen lion-looking beings or cat-like beings with more the cat-like face. I've actually had one of the lion beings come through and work through me in a Reiki healing when I was working on one of their own. And that was intense. And that was like, if you think of like a male jaguar type, you know, look to it, really intense being. I've seen kind of these lumbering, and these are supposed to be from the Fae, but these are these large lumbering, slow moving animals. If you think of, it kind of reminds you a little bit of a bear, but really long legs, and they're huge, but the face isn't 100% bear. And then unicorns, the Sasquatch, and the Sasquatch they look differently. The Ponti have participated.
Tell people who the Ponti are so that they, you know, some people know, some people don't.
The Ponti most of them are about 4 feet tall. They kind of have like a grayish skin, but their faces, to me, if you look at Stu's artwork, most of their faces are very human-like, different colored eyes. Some have hair, some don't. But they do scientific work, and they keep our records, our historical records on planet. So they're at the Sandia mountain base and different, I think they're in different underwater bases around the world because they work with the whales and the dolphins. And
so are they connected with the Anunnaki at all? Yeah, I figured they would be if they were within that role. So so what's happening? So Enki and Lil, are they still alive? They're still trotting around, as far as I know. They are. I haven't seen them for a while.
My understanding is that the gentleman who is Enki is Michael Lee Hill, and that the gentleman who is in Lil, in a sense, is Chief Golden Light Eagle. But I'm not at liberty to really talk about them, you know, other than that's what is out there. Mike talks about it a lot. So when we were in East Lake, it's been about a week now, we did see some ships. Michael E. Hill did take our group out, and we did some UFO watching. But my personal communication with the beings that are from the council that would be known as the SAM, or those that are the Anunnaki, they're intense. They are extremely powerful. Their energy is intense. I know for a fact that I've communicated with what would be the higher self of Michael Lee Hill, which would be the Enki or the Archangel Michael. And so a lot of the Anunnaki personalities are also some of the Archangel beings. So they are intense.
Yeah, I know that like in back originally in the Norse regions, and Lil, the Norse called him, he was Thor's father.
Odin. Odin. Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, Odin, and he had a son named Marduk, who was actually who the Norse called Thor. So, but you know, and Lil and Marduk, that was, you know, what they were called, you know, by races, you know, many thousands of years ago, and of course our language has changed now. So, so we can really call them anything we want, really. But that's how they show up. And as far as I know, they're still hanging around because they still need the gold, and with good reason. You know, they need that for their planet, and they're going to continue to need that, and they're going to need that in the next 1,000 years or so, or less than 1,000 years. They're going to have a great use for the gold. But as far as what I know, they were it was conveyed to them by the All One that you know, humanity, you know, has the right, human beings on the planet have the right to rule themselves. And so, you know, it's sort of been said to them. And as far as I know, Enki's in line with that. And, you know, and he's trying to help out with that to get humanity to a point where they can rule and govern and you know, be a part of the Galactic Council, you know, in their right. And Lil, I'm not so sure. I think he's still, you know, he knows it's the right thing to do, but I don't think he's fully on board with you know, because he's interested in you know, in his own, you know, civilization, and he's very passionate about their ongoing survival as well. So he has to be a little bit selfish in his own way there, which is fair enough, you know. And we do the same things too, you know. Sometimes we have to do things to survive. We mightn't always like it, but you have to do it. And yeah, so that seems to be what's happening with them at the moment. And although, you know, like Thor's said to me, you know, he's sort of pretty good like that. He's sort of saying, well, you know, a lot of his side of the tribe, they can't always be trusted, you know, because they're going to do what they have to do. But that being said, they sort of, they wish no sort of real ill will, and they're not deliberately trying to be malicious or anything like that. But of course, they're putting their own civilization first, and they'll do what they can do for man in between time, you know, and that's sort of the situation that we're in with them, you know. And it's the same with a lot of other galactic beings as well, you know. They have their own interests in what they need for their survival as well. And, you know, and some of them are just outright nasty, but, you know, there's a lot of them that seem to us like they're not playing fair, but you know, they're just doing what they need to do, you know, and things will change. It won't always be this way, you know, like, you know.
Can I interrupt you just for a second here?
Yeah, you're right.
So I will share with you what the council has shared with me. Here on planet Earth, there are a lot of beings and individuals that are parading around taking different names that we think of as famous, like gods, goddesses, and stuff like that, that are actually false out there. And then when they attribute, like, one being was all of these different gods or goddesses, what that does is that minimizes the value of the individual being. And so what I've been told by the council is that Thor, and that he's actually an elemental, that he's actually from the Fae, that he's not what we think of as the Sam or the Anunnaki, and that he's much older than that, but he's also Valiant Thor. And so there are many people who think those are two different beings, but actually it's the same person there, the Thor and Valiant Thor. And what I've also been told is, like, the title Enlil or the title Enki Those are actual titles. And so Enlil stands for Lord of the Skies, and I forget what Enki stands for, but the being that the person, the individual that I've met that is supposed to be the brother of Enki is a beautiful individual and a very powerful person. But what I've also been told is that there's higher selves to many of us that are here in a human suit, that there is a being that is even greater than we are, that is, we're actually a part of them. And so that's part of where I play catch up myself and trying to process through is what percentage of us out there have these higher selves, because the council has told me not everybody does. Some people are compacted within their body, and that's the being. So my understanding, what I've heard from Michael E. Hill, is that the Anunnaki leadership is on board with the Earth becoming what the council has planned, that they are there participating, helping. The process for gold, is my understanding, is that other groups that are members of the council have already taken care of that deal with them, so that they have their gold from a different source, because our planet needs to heal. Our planet needs to heal from everything, not just ancient mining, but it just needs to heal. And so I have great joy and hope when I think about what the council has said, and I get to go around, and they sent me around. They're the ones who, what they did is they started to send me to different conferences to listen to different speakers. The first person they told me to go meet was Michael E. Hill. The second person they told me to go meet was Chief Golden Light Eagle, and then Garrett Duncan after that. And so I have met, though, so many people in the last 4.5 years with all these conferences that I've been to. And some of them, like, they have me listen to a speaker, and then the council asks me, does that resonate with you? What do you think about that? So that I have my own thought process in there, and they will let me know. They'll say, this person is making up this portion of their story. And so I sit back and now I look at it. We have within the groups that are trying to share all this wonderful good news and information, we have people that are backstabbing each other within the groups. We have, in other words, we need to rise above as leaders and as speakers and people with pieces of knowledge. We have to rise above this, you know, you're not my competition. If you have more information than I have, thank you for sharing it, you know, bless you, your path, go forward. And so when the council shares all this different information with me, I am a sponge, and I've been a sponge for the last, 4.5 years. And they just only recently allowed me to start speaking publicly about them and to talk about what I've learned, because now I have enough information where I can address different subjects and talk to different people. So,
yeah.
I have a couple questions for you. First one is the council fans of the Pork and Bean Show.
That's why
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Hey, Deborah.
They are?
Yes, they are.
They are fans
of your show. That's why I'm on here. I'm
here.
And you guys, outside of Barbara Jean Lindsay and her show, you guys are the first big show for the council to really talk to everybody. And
what do you mean? You mean we're number 2, so we try harder?
You're number 2, and you guys are awesome. But Barbara and I are good friends, so
Well, that brings up a good point that I was going to ask my question.
Well, wait a minute. Let me ask my second question before I lose it, okay?
Oh. Go ahead.
I mean, you get in the queue.
Push it over.
I wanted to ask you. So, we know that the Sasquatch are, described as interdimensional, but they're also terrestrial because they have real lives doing stuff. I mean, from what I've seen them. I've seen they do like terrestrial stuff. They do people stuff. But how many of the entities or races or whatever on the counselor or are actually their home base, so to speak, is on planet
Very
Earth?
few of them. Very, very few of them.
Can you name some of them, or can you name them, or some of
Okay,
them?
so you've got the Reptarans, which are kind of that reptilian humanoid look that is the good ones that are.
Okay.
You have obviously human suits, and there are, what they've told me, when you look at the percentage of the split of souls, that of beings that are in human bodies, 60% is a human soul, 40% is other. And so
What's the difference between a human suit and somebody with a soul?
Well, no, a human soul within your human suit. So that's 60%.
Oh, okay.
So that means that a creator group created souls that go into human bodies specifically when that happens. So if the story of Enki and the creation of the humans are the truth, then that means that the Anunnaki have created a lot of the human souls. And so the Anunnaki aren't just, from planet Nibiru. I mean, there's so much more to them too. And that's where I don't have all those specific facts, but there's just a lot more to every group than what we think. And so here, as far as other native, you have a lot of animal species. You have whales, you have dolphins, you have different groups that are sentient, that are part of this planet. Our trees are sentient. We have a magical planet. And part of what makes us a fairly unique planet, because we aren't 100% unique, we're fairly unique, is that we have so much creation going on, whether it's coming from humans or other beings behind the scenes on this planet, that they've just done so much. Even with our bodies, they've been experimented on so much and added to. So in many ways, we are very unique and very capable. Very, very capable.
Yeah. And I may be, this may just be because I've
step back a bit.
I'll have a real this may be because I have a relationship with Sasquatch or whatever, so maybe I'm not cognizant of it, but it seems to me that the Sasquatch are more upfront and more like, I don't want to say in your face, but they seem to be reaching out in a physical, interactive, way or whatever. Why are they kind of like the ones that are kind of the more open, or whatever should I say, or is that true, or is that?
Well, because they're very, very close with several members of the group who started the High Council, started with the Venusians. And so when you think of when they got together and decided, okay, we need a group of all these other councils, we all need to work together. So that plan hatched with the Venusians. And so, so if you go from there, they love the Sasquatch. They told me back in 2016, to them, the Sasquatch are the beautiful ones. They are some of the most beautiful beings that exist. And so,
oh wow, I just got a big rush, warm rush when you said that.
Yeah, and so they really love them. And it was the Venusians who brought the original clan members to me that did the initial healings and working with me and communicating with me. And they are amazing. And no, I haven't physically sat in front of a Sasquatch. I haven't done that. I have seen one phasing, but always they've come to me in my mind, or if they're right there near me, I'm very sensitive to energy. I can feel them, and they'll show me and they'll talk to me. So like when Ari came the last time we talked, he was just kind of letting us know energetically, I'm here, it's Ari. And so he was just checking in on us after the last interview with Barbara and I. And so
Oh yeah. What happened with that? What did
He just
how did that go?
touched both of us. So it was in the morning. It was after the interview, and it was like he was there in the apartment, and he was just there to say hi. Like, I'm just checking, out your place, and so I think he just came to visit. And if he would have appeared physically, I would have offered him coffee or tea or breakfast or lunch. But
Yeah.
for some reason they don't. So my guess is physically, he's closer to where you are physically. But with his mind, whether he's in meditation or whatever, he came and he checked in on Barbara and I and said hi.
Right. And who exactly, who does he say he is? He's on one of the councils, you figure, or what? I mean, is he an elder? How would you describe
He has
him?
not done that. But you know what? The council is very much like that, where they don't take on, I'm so-and-so, and that's who I am. They might say I'm Venusian or I come from this group, but there isn't, and I wouldn't call it grandstanding, but there isn't a lot of like putting you on a pedestal type stuff. And so my understanding from Ari when he reached out is just he's another just beautiful being, and I'm happy to meet him and happy to know him. So
yeah, that makes sense because I can't see because when even myself when I was on my highest vibration, there is no such thing as a pedestal or whatever. The all one knowing or whatever. There's a pedestal can't exist there. So anyway, so I wanted to just wanted to get down to some business here and then let Beans ask his question. Mr. Beans, there's some people trying to get on here, like you said, but what's the problem? Can you send them a link or what?
Well, some people got computer problems. Some people got whatever.
Microsoft is having a few issues at the moment. The link's there in the group. I picked up the link from the group, so anyone who's in the group.
Okay, well, it must be working then.
Group.
What was your question, Beans?
Well, I'd like you to go to your audio settings and see if you can't turn it down a little bit. But my question is this. My question is this: is that right? We know a little bit about Sasquatch. Most people on Earth have only seen like little UFOs in the sky and all that kind of stuff. So this is a big deal with galactic councils with 1 million in different groups and like 1 million with many different groups under one umbrella. And not very many people know about that. I mean, it's kind of new, so like you can see the ETs have had people studying them since the 50s, and there's ET groups and ET seminars, everything, and books and talks and everything about the ET people, right? And then now coming on in another wave is the Sasquatch people. So they have Sasquatch groups, Sasquatch researchers, Sasquatch books, Sasquatch, yeah. But the Galactic Council, that's like another whole wave, and like you said, they're an umbrella, and now all three of these, the Galactic Council, the Sasquatch people, and which also coming up on the Dogman people, but the Sasquatch people, and the ET people, they all like to be behind the scenes. They don't like to be seen. They don't like to be photographed. But so I'm just saying is, the question is are we going to just be hearing more about the Galactic Council? Are you a type of a front runner of the Galactic Council? What do you call it? PR, public relations.
I am their ambassador. They have they're working with other people that are speakers right now, and there are a couple of them that together we have determined that, okay, we're working with the same group. This is the same group. And so our messages, so Garrett Duncan is one of the people. Garrett and I work with the same group. He might have some specific individuals that he works with versus ones that work with me, but we're working with the same council that's spreading the same message. And so when Garrett does his return to purity work and his toning work and everything, it comes from the council, and the featherweight magic, all of that stuff comes from the council. The whole premise or the idea behind the great council, or this big council, was to pull in everybody, was to pull in all of the benevolent groups and say, look, our campaign is to set planet Earth free. That's the beginning of their campaign. Once they set Earth free, they're going to move on and set another planet free, because what the council has decided is that they're going to clear our universe of the dark entities and the dark stuff, so that ultimately we will be able to travel throughout the universe through portals, via ships, via several different ways. And it's going to be ultimately, how they envision it is this ultimate sharing process going on. So if you take, just as an example, recipe sharing, people way back in the day used to share recipes, and that's how you kind of kept a person's gift of the way they cook moving on past their lifetime. So a lot of these groups have different types of magic. They have different type of beings that they created. They have different ideas. And so the council is all about melding everything together and coming up with a bigger, better, cleaner, brighter, purer future for everybody.
I have a question.
I saw
have we?
I saw that actually a few weeks ago. I took a little trip into my life 100 years, roughly 100 years from now. And it showed me a vision. And I was standing on a great stage, like an amphitheatre, as an ambassador, with my wife beside me, because she does the same work that I do. And I was speaking to a multitude of people as far as the eye could see. So everyone was turning out to hear this message. And didn't go into great detail of what I was saying, but I knew I was addressing to them about something, and because of the vast multitude, obviously it was something that a great many people were interested in, and we know what we're all interested in the moment, and that's a better world and you know, just better everything. And I addressed them, and it was good news, because that was the emotion that was coming from it, and they were happy to receive it. And then shortly after that, I was in the hall of the Great Council as an ambassador to table it and say, okay, this is what we're doing. From now on, this is a better Earth. We are doing everything that's got to happen for it to be that way. And the council was unanimous in that. And we were at a point where it was no more, how do we do it? How do we set it up? You know, what do we need to do? It was at that point we were saying, okay, we know what we need to do. We know what's right. We know it's got to be done. We've got everyone assembled here who wants to help. Everyone's in. Right. Okay, let's press the start button and let's make it really happen for real. Not, you know, let's clean it up right now. Absolute stop to anything that's not advantageous to the human condition or to the health of the earth, you know. And that was it. So that was great. So I don't know whether that's actually going to be me in 100 years. Maybe it was just a glimpse of an event in that time, and maybe I was just seeing myself in that position, and which I'd be gladly happy to do and quite capable. But who knows? We'll see. That's 100 years from now. So, but yeah, no, it's that was a feel good thing. So I know myself that that's going to happen. That's it's a done deal. Right. You know, whether it's me or whoever else, that's a done deal. You know, so yeah.
That to me that's part of you receiving like that confirmation that your heart and your soul needed to know. I've been told that the original plan was going to be 100-year switchover and re-educating and everything, but now they've decided that they can do it within 30 years. So, I mean, to me, that's joyful. But I've also been told that many of us will be healed, age regress, so that we will be able to work and do the work that we need to do. And
yeah, I've been told that too. Yeah. I'm hoping I'm one of them, because I got a stuffed heart at the moment, and short of an age regression or some sort of miracle, because modern science just hasn't got a hold of it. So
you're not uncommon. Many of us do have various ailments and different issues. So I wanted to give Deborah a chance. Deborah, you wanted to ask a question, if you would, please.
I do. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Awesome.
I was watching one of the videos that I've been involved in, and they mentioned the Galactic, which I've seen online too, the Galactic Federation League, what they mentioned. Is that the same as the Galactic Council?
So this council is called the Sacred Spiral of Purity and Light High Council. And so it does not take the name of Galactic Federation, but I imagine that the Federation is a member of the bigger council.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I was just trying to see if they were related at all, because it was a regression. And she was actually the commander-in-chief in another life. She's now here, and she was in another life in that she was the commander on that ship, and her husband now was also on that ship, but as a different being, and he was sent to go seed planets. So it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that would be.
I'll share it with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me know your input.
Yeah.
How you been?
Good. I've been doing good. Keep me busy, definitely.
I have a question too, Don. So obviously, I mean, we all know that the SASQUATCH, the Galactic Councils, and whatever, they're all trying to introduce us to our true self, our higher self, right? And make us, make us a member of the galactic family again, right? So my question to you is throughout our entire human history, which is probably millions of years old, and I'm thinking maybe like the Atlanteans or whatever. Have we ever been a member, part of that council, or have we ever been like close?
Okay, so what they have told me is that in recent history of planet Earth, we've digressed. We've gone backwards. But there have been times where we were right up there in the forefront. But when you become taken over by different groups and different species that use magic or technology and stuff to enslave or control you, it got out of hand, is what the council told me, and that we went backwards. There is no room in the future of the universe for slavery, for trafficking, for doing a lot of the things that happen on our planet on a regular basis. So the High Council isn't all warm fuzzies. You have a lot of military-like personalities that are on that council. That council, for instance, Valiant Thor, when he's, I don't want to say barking orders or barking communication at people, but a lot of those leaders are very intense. And because I'm connected, not just telepathically, but on an emotional level with the family members that are my members that are on the council, that when they had 3 ships that got hit, and this happened in the summer of 2018 in one of their battles. And I was at work, and I didn't even know why initially, but I just like started sobbing, just at work, just all of a sudden just burst out into tears, and I was sobbing, and it took them a while to separate their emotion from me, because they were reacting to this battle and these 3 ships that had gone down, and trying to assess injuries and stuff like that. And so I just felt as if somebody was scanning me right now, like somebody has come this direction to scan. So I don't know if people on the call here are experiencing things like that, but that was interesting.
Well, I can quite often feel them listening in and stuff, if that's what you mean.
It might have been me scanning you, actually, because while you were just speaking, then, you know, I'm looking in and I'm saying, okay, because like I had an episode like that last week, but I don't know what it's attached to. So, you know, I was trying to get inside of your head, and I'm asking the question of, okay, after the event, after you felt the emotion, how did that lead on to you being privy to the battle and the damage to the ship?
The 3 ships that were shot down, they gave me an update on the people. They just had injuries. They didn't have any fatalities, but they did lose 2 of the ships, my understanding, were badly damaged, and 1 was okay. But it was a surprise attack. It wasn't, these were peaceful, more scientific group that was attacked. And so because of my close connection to certain members on that council, if something major happens, I am aware of it. I may not be there physically aware, but I am aware at some level of what is taking place.
Yeah. If they get wind of it, then naturally that's going to flow onto you. Yeah.
Right. So,
Dawn,
yes,
you were hoping that some people would come in on the chat and ask you questions. But what kind of specific questions were you looking for? Because we've got a few people here might want to, like.
No, any questions? All questions are good. No questions are stupid.
Question? I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, thanks, Deborah. That was great. Moving on. Just joking.
I have a question. I was told by Gail
Fowler. Okay. Yeah.
I asked my guide, Iclia,
okay,
if, you know, what was the spaceship in my dream behind my house that was a triangle, bright, shiny, pretty silver color with lights that were slashes. And she said, not Arcturian, but there was I can't remember the name now. I have to look it up. But it was sounded like Arcturian, but do you know any beings that have the similar name, but it's not them? I wanted to get your energy about them.
right.
I think they're like observers, but I looked it up and they're a little different looking.
Yeah, not specifically, not firsthand information on it.
I didn't think of what the name was. I was just trying to find it in my book, but because they mentioned it that regression yesterday too that I was listening to. Not Arcturian. Arcturus, maybe? Or is that a planet?
I am not sure.
I think that's a planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Deborah, I've had different questions about the Arcturians. Have you ever listened to Tashina speak? Her name's Tashina.
No.
Tashina is Arcturian. Now, her story is that she came out of a cave in the desert, and I don't know if it was Arizona or New Mexico, but she came out full-grown woman, but that she's Arcturian, and that she commands an Arcturian fleet, and she was working at Standing Rock. Well, where I met her was at the Transformational Shift Conference in Tucson that Tolek and the and he's with the Andromedan Council. I don't know if you've listened to Tolek speak or Chris speak, but that conference was fascinating because that had a lot of actual commanders of ships who were allegedly up there on the stage talking. And for me,
wow,
I was just like, I could feel like the warrior energy, like the female warrior energy coming off of some of them that were speaking, and Tashina is one of them. And then I can't remember, there was this really tall woman, my understanding is she's with the Pleiadians, and she was a commander of a ship with the Pleiadians.
huh?
But there are so many groups out there. When you think of, the council isn't just of beings made up of from our universe.
Right.
There are members from other universes, other beings of light that are part of that council. And so when they talk about melding their knowledge and their magic and their abilities, they are truly working together for the betterment, not just for us and Earth, but for the whole universe. And I've seen water beings, and I don't mean like mer people. I've also gotten visuals of those, but I'm talking about sheets of water. And so living water in a way that is more intense. And I have had one of those beings like come and scan you, and it is like this sheet of water just kind of going through you. And because we're made up of, a high percentage of water, they can get in within your cells. And so when you talk about a scan, it's a scan that, it's different. It's very different. But allegedly, that group comes from a different universe, and they are capable of being these massive sheets that can, one of the examples is like, say you got storm clouds coming, and let's say they've got a lot of chemtrail shit in the storm clouds. These water beings can go in there and they can basically transmute the bad stuff into basically inert stuff. But, I've had some, what I would consider amazing, miraculous experiences, some very scary experiences. I've seen a being in my bedroom that looks like the being from the movie Alien, but even uglier because it was right there. And that was physical.
Yeah.
And the council kept me frozen, basically. I'm looking at it, and it's trying to get through their force field and their protection around me. And that thing was just creepy.
Wow.
And so I have some situations which can turn me into like, it can still affect me on an emotional level. But I'm getting way better,
Yeah, I had an experience maybe a couple months ago where I got woke up by a noise, and I've never heard one before, but I intuitively knew it was a mantis being because of their mouth that makes a weird noise, like it's rubbing together or something. And I felt it to the bottom right of my bed, but I didn't see anything. I opened my eyes.
Right.
And then somebody else said, well, you know how you have a doctor doing a surgery and then you have a bunch of students way up high watching?
Right.
And they said that there was a bunch of those observing. I don't know what they were doing. I was sleeping, but have you had a connection with people like that, beings like that?
I have been, I have participated in a conversation with one of the female mantid generals that was talking to the High Council, and their discussion had to do with who their group had allied with in the past and did that serve them well, because this was a group that wanted to basically defect from the dark and come over and join the light and come back over. So with her, I didn't get the sense that she was creepy or scary. In fact, with any like mantid energy, I haven't gotten that like really bad at all. Spider beings, definitely. I do not appreciate them whatsoever.
Spiders.
Yeah, it's those are what attacked me, my initial attack, and tried to do the mind control and the stuff on me. And even though the council was allowing me to be aware of what was happening, it was very uncomfortable. It was very scary. So,
Wow.
you know, it's
so the Ponte. How do you connect to the Ponte?
I have followed them on Twitter,
Okay.
pretty much from the beginning. Now, in the beginning, when all this stuff started, before I was even speaking telepathically or everything, I was searching.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that that's part of when the council says they're in the background, your background, and helping to orchestrate you and put
Right.
you on the right path.
Right.
I was following their stuff where initially they were just doing the is it archipelago? You know, it's the where they've mapped out like and drawn out. If you look at pictures of the Earth from the satellite view, that when they were going through that phase. And that's when I first became aware of them. And I actually sent a private message, which at the time I didn't realize that Sue and Otter were, you know, the humans
Right.
that were behind the scenes to dealing
Right.
with that. And it was the commander who was the only one who was speaking at that time. The others weren't speaking. And I wrote to him and I said, come on, are you guys for real? Or are you, you know, because I really want to meet somebody who's real. I don't want to play games and stuff. And so they are definitely a part of the council. The commander has spoken. I invited Radar and some of the people to come to Idaho when I was working.
Yeah.
And so they did come and make pizza and sandwiches and hang out for a little bit. But it's not like physically like you and I were in the same room. They weren't physical like that, but they would show themselves in my mind. You know, I'm over here watching, or I'm participating, or I'm standing next to you. Don't get afraid if you move this way. So they were very kind, the interaction with them.
Well, one time, this is probably 2010, I was laying down listening to some meditative music, and I wasn't asleep, and I saw my native guide, Starheart, and she rides a bear. I was told he came right after her. And then after this, like the third time I saw her, and she's really, really pretty. But she's all white, completely white. And she's got like a little halo around her head.
Yeah.
And then the bear, I could see every hair on that bear. It was so clear. And then I think the third time she came to me, because the first time I think it was sideways, then straight on with the bear, and then the third time it was like she was going like this, like come. And that's the last time I saw her. So I thought I must have done something wrong. I don't know. And then the third time I saw her, then popped in I don't know which being it was. It was the slanted eyes. Is that Arcturian? It didn't look very big, but it was only from the chest up. And it was very quick.
What color skin? Or
it looked more gray.
More gray.
Could have been a greenish gray.
Yeah, I've seen some beings that are kind of blue that say they're Arcturian, so they kind of have that light and some bluish color there. So gray could have been in there too.
Would that be one of the grays, or those are taller, aren't they?
There's different ones, is my understanding.
There's a lot.
There's the taller, dark ones that allegedly do a lot of the abductions and different stuff on planet. I haven't seen any of those, like even in my mind's eye. But I hear a lot and I read a lot about people who've had experiences with them. It's like the Ponte don't like to be called grays, you know? It's just kind of a way of describing skin color.
Yeah.
I think for me, the scariest beings that I've come in contact with have been like the spiders and the reptilians that are dark. I haven't had like a gray that has like come at me. But I don't know.
Well, this one I didn't get any negative feeling from it. And I had a dream before that my husband died in 99, and I had a dream that I was in this back of this car, and my dreams are, I'm in those dreams. I feel like I'm there. So
Right.
I feel that they're real, like a visitation. So I'm in the back of the car, and my late spouse is sitting on my left. So I don't know who was driving, I forgot. And there was a young boy on the right-hand side. And he opened the door and he started falling out. So I went to grab him, and then I started falling out, and I turned around and I told my husband, Tom, grab my arm, get me in. And he hands me his hand, and it's only got 3 fingers.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I didn't know that was you were like that. So it's pretty interesting, yeah.
Yeah, you have a very active dream state, which
I do.
Yeah, so it's like deciphering who's talking to you. Just ask them to be more clear.
Okay.
Just say, just flat out, just say, look, I'd like to progress quicker. Are you educating me? You have permission to educate me, but I want you to introduce yourself. I want you, because what the council has said is dark or light beings can communicate with people, and they can pretend one way or the other. A light being can pretend that it's dark, and a dark being can pretend that it's light. So we have to set our boundaries as humans. Yeah. We're not slaves. We're not their property. And you just say, look, I welcome teachings. I welcome spiritual teachings and your education, but I want you to show yourselves to me and introduce yourselves and try to see if you get more communication that way, because I started with dreams, and dreams is how beings were communicating with me as I grew up.
Well, you know that one dream I had, I'm sure you've read it. And I want to get down to the bottom of it, because things are just like little puzzle. My whole life is a puzzle, but things are coming together. And the one I had where I saw that I was standing on a little hill, and I saw 50 pairs of beings walking to the north. Do you remember reading that?
No, I don't know that one. Yeah.
Oh, it's really cool. Well, so I'm sitting on a hill. I don't know what I look like because I didn't look at myself, but I'm seeing 50 beings walking towards, and I knew it was the north. And so there were different kinds. I mean, I think there was Sasquatch in there. I'm pretty sure there was, but there was like dinosaurs, and there was different kinds of beings that I've never seen before. And then there was 2 tall that stood really tall amongst all of these. Now these are like a long ways away from me, kind of.
Right.
And they're super tall. And so I was a short little dream, just to see it. And then all of a sudden I woke up, and they like to wake me up, because when I get woke up, I heard this voice, and I think it was female, and she said she knows all about it. So apparently now, when I went to the Star Knowledge Conference with Rita, in I think it was January 2018, I think it was, we had 2 field trips, and we missed the first one. We got lost. So we followed the bus on the second one. We went to where the intaglios are in Blythe, California.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I was there for the...
You were, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the first time I saw you. And so those are the kind of beings that I saw in the dream. And so I want to get down to the bottom of it. So there's a girl that she's called Into the Veil. I don't know what her, Rachel or something. Have you heard of her? I'm good. She channels, and I want her to give me a channeling, because she was talking about who was she channeling the other day? The giants. She was channeling. Well, that's part of Sasquatch are really big too.
Right.
So I want to find out if she can connect me with who that was. I want to know the real name of them. I think Intaglios is a human name.
Right.
We have to title everything. So I really want to find out who that was in that dream. Was I there? Was I part of them? Was I just observing? Because the guy who put that event on, he said he thought I was connecting to the energy of that time in that dream.
Oh, is that Arthur
Yeah.
Robert Cushman? Yeah. Okay, that told you that? Yeah. That's fascinating. So like your dreams about the guy, the woman on the bear, did those start after that event, or?
So my whole awakening only started when my son was killed in '97.
Okay.
That's when I started reading books and stuff. And then I started writing poetry, and then I got laid off in 2009, 2010. So that's when I had time to do research and stuff for the recession. And so I started in 2009, but 2010 is when I really started getting, I started listening to binary beats on headphone from this one company, and they're really good. And the first thing I ever saw was the letters. Somebody gave me these letters, ascension, but it wasn't part of my vocabulary, so I didn't know what it meant.
Right, right.
And so I had that, and then I started getting some different visions and stuff, and then my dreams. And that's when I saw Starheart. Well, and actually I had a reading I went to see James Van Praagh near Palm Springs at one of his events, and he brought through 8 of my deceased relatives, and he named some of them, and my son had already passed, and my husband died 18 months later, so they all came through. And then I had a brother-in-law who was a pain in my butt, and he actually came through to get for me to forgive him, which I had already done.
Right, right.
And so that just continued. After that event, I wanted more, so I called a guy who's a medium up in the mountain, and I asked him. I'd seen him in 2002, and I said, "Can you come to my house? I want you to give me a reading." So I had a 2-hour reading with him. He introduced me to Starheart, and she's an Apache female, beautiful girl, absolutely gorgeous, and she's actually, you know what she did to me? She when I first saw her in that dream I mentioned. I'm kind of jumping around here a little bit, but the one who killed my son, his parents lived on the community I live on.
Right.
And I had only seen him in court after he killed my son. So I had this event. I was putting on deep sea fishing trips for work out here. And so what I did was I booked one, and I went, and it was the guy who killed my son was on that boat, and I didn't know it when I first got on. I had already forgiven him, so that was another connection. But it's quite interesting, you know, all the things that connect you to who you are and what you're supposed to be doing.
Right, right.
And what's really weird is the guy who killed my son also killed another relative out here, not relative, but people out here who lost their son. I had written life insurance on him in '85. He killed their son too. And
how did he kill them?
Odie was riding on a motorcycle. That one was an accident. He was riding on a motorcycle. He was driving, and then Chet was on the back. And a car came from the right, and Odie tried to swerve. And Chet flew off and hit his head on the curb and broke his head, cracked his head open. So that was a death benefit I had to deliver. And then their relatives, they referred me to another family, and their son was killed coming down drunk driving. And then another one, I only wrote 3 policies, and then I quit selling it because it was kind of weird. And so when my son was killed the same week, the 3rd family I wrote insurance on, they came to the door to say they couldn't come to my son's funeral because their son was also killed. That was the 3rd policy I wrote. All 3 of them died.
Wow.
Is that weird?
That is just bizarre.
Yeah, so we're all connected. So intricately, you know.
Right.
I wanted to ask, is the council saying anything about Mr. Beans right now?
Oh, no, not at all. He's sleeping.
I have a question. Talk like I'm not even here. I have a question.
Okay.
This is serial.
Okay.
This is a serial question.
All right.
Where have this galactic council been the last 12,000 years? This is an issue because there's a lot of emotional charge. It's like they're coming in, swooping in now, and at the end of the darkest days, they're going to be the heroes. But where have they been the last 12,000 years when all this stuff was building up and wars and poverty and craziness? And where have they been?
What they told me, okay, so they've been doing different things. Some of them have been infiltrating all of these dark groups so they know where all of their places are. where they're taking the children, where they're taking people. They've been doing that. They've been out recruiting other groups. They've been out putting together this massive group. So they have been working on this for 3,000 years is what they told me.
Do they have any advice for anybody here as far as we're all doing our work? And I do believe, you know, where we're supposed to be, what we're doing, what we're supposed to be, and where we're supposed to be in our journey, whatever. But do they have any particular advice for Deborah or Mr. Beans or myself as far as what they would, how we can, you know, how we can do our job better or do our work better?
I think the main thing that the council wants to share is that we each have to understand we are each a piece of the puzzle. Those of us who are in human suits that are part of this great awakening here, we each have vital information that can be shared with other people, not necessarily every single other person, but with other people that can help them and can help them heal. And so we're each doing our work, and as long as we're improving upon who we are and understanding who we are more and more, we're getting better. And
yeah,
and that's a huge undertaking in and of itself, is dealing with our 3D world, people who think we're crazy, and keep moving forward with growth. And for me, you know, it's lonely. It's a lonely trip, you know. Yes, I have lots of very cool and interesting friends, but most of my friends who would sit and actually hear me out and listen to me are new friends. And so a lot of my, what I considered my more in-depth friendships and stuff, these people get bits and pieces of my story, because for many of them, they're on, you know, the 3D, believe in COVID, believe all this different stuff. They're at that level. They're not at this level where I can talk to them about telepathy and communicating with other races, and that they're real, and that, you know, I can swear in my blood that they're real. You know what I mean? It's, I can say that, but somebody else can sit across from me and say, well, if you don't see them, how can you prove that they're real? You know, it's
Just know.
You just know. I know. There are things that you just know. And yes, I've had physical affirmations. I have had, you know, those truth tingles when people are talking. There are ways, as long as we're sensitive,
Yep.
then we know that we're on the right path. And sometimes our life, our 3D life, can take us out of being sensitive. And so we just have to be able to recognize that and know how to get back in.
You know, when I first experienced that, go ahead, Brian.
You were saying truth tingles. That's interesting, because actually, Dawn, when the first time that we talked, like when they really are excited about me talking to somebody or whatever, I get like an intense energy or whatever. And, you know, and it's also them telling me this person's legit, or, you know, this person is speaking the truth or whatever. And I got some of the most intense energy I've ever felt when I was talking to you. So that's why, you know, I'm honored to have you on the show, and I knew you were legit because they were giving me that truth tingle. So
thank you.
Well,
like, I'm happy to be here. It's like I look forward to, you know, talking more and meeting more people and doing different things. But yeah, I'm here to help. You know.
By the way, I knew the answer to that question that I asked, but I digressed to my 3D. Oh, are they going to say something nice about me? I knew it was a stupid question, but you know, whatever. That's what we're all about, right, Mr. Beans? So have they said anything about Beans yet?
What was Deborah's question? You cut her off.
I was just going to. That's okay. I was just going to comment. I too get those chills that run down my body, But my first experience on that, Don, was when, after my son was killed, I wrote poetry. That's how I dealt with my grief.
Right.
Getting it all out and sharing it. So I'd be at work and they ask, oh, I'm so sorry, Deb. You know, don't feel sorry for me. You know, let me share. So I just starting to share everything. Right. And sharing the poems that I wrote, I would get chills every time I talk about the accident, because it was a huge awakening for me to know that his body was taken when he hit that 90-mile-an-hour car coming at him at the windshield, and he had no blood, and he had broken legs. He had a clavicle that he hit the top of the telephone pole, and the clavicle went in his aorta. There was no blood at all, because I felt and I looked at him. I touched him. And
are these poems? Are they personal?
No, I share them with everybody.
Well, read us one. Do you have one handy?
Not at the top of my head. I'd have to pull it up. And I used to have them memorized, but I've not done that for a while. I can look one up. I don't know which one to give you. I guess I should do the one that he channeled for me. I was in college going to graphic design 2 months after he was killed because I had to do something. And so I was in my dorm room, and all of a sudden, well, no, our English comp teacher asked us to write a poem, and I'd never written a poem. And I said, how do you do that? And she says, Deborah, from your heart. And so I went, okay, how do I do that? I get back there. Okay. But anyway.
Why don't you look it up? And I'll ask Dawn a question while you're looking it up. So the new Earth or the new you know, when we go through this process or whatever, I guess there won't really be a government as we, you know, or politics as we see it now, I suppose. And will it be kind of like the old native way where they're sharing, you know,
it'll be the galactic
everyone's
council
like
slacking off. It'll be like the galactic council slacking off. So basically the nature's there and everybody be growing their own food, and there won't be any
and sharing.
That's it. Yeah.
Right. That's what I figured. That's the vision I had. It's just like kind of like, you know, you grow some corn, I'll grow some rice. You build me, you know, you make a jacket, and we just kind of like and I guess money will be abolished too, I suppose. How do you see that, Dawn? You know, as far as politics, money, how you know how everyday life will be.
Okay, what they have told me is that nothing will be the way we understand it today, and that we will be governed by very simple rules of law. We won't have the layers and layers. How we get to that, I think that's where us as humans are going to be participating on these different committees, is that we're going to help formulate how we get to that point. They have an end point. They know what, you know, is going to govern us, but they're going to let us participate in creating that message and working with people. And so we aren't going to have a banking system the way we think of it. We aren't going to get food the way we currently are getting food. My understanding with food is everything will be organic. It'll be less animals. It will be less like the way that we produce food today. There will not be genetically altered things. There will not be, in other words, when they talk about return to purity, they're talking about return to purity in all ways, not just what we consume or how we think or how we interact with each other, returning to purity and pure universal laws and how we deal with one another. So for me, it's a beautiful future. I mean, they've shown me pristine rivers, pristine oceans, forests, jungles. They're talking about returning even extinct animal species and bird species, that how they put it is, if a species was unfairly made extinct, like say for instance, isn't it either the black rhino or the white rhino that doesn't exist in the wild anymore? Things like that will be brought back. Animals and stuff like that will be brought back. And it'll be more organized in the sense that areas where food and stuff can be grown, that's what it'll be used for. They won't be trying to force certain things happening in certain areas. So they're going to work with the natural environment with everything. So
I got a question for you. Oh, go ahead.
It's just
finish out what you're
I
saying.
mean, and so because it hasn't been developed completely, we play a part in that. That's part of us being pieces of that puzzle. Is what do we think, you know, what committee would we want to be on, and why would we want to be on that committee? Is that because we have a love for, you know, rivers, and we want to be part of the committee that heals rivers? For each person that's one of the Rainbow Warriors, which is all of us, is we each are going to have to answer that question for ourselves. And then we have to learn to communicate with each other, to give people ample time to communicate themselves, allow every voice to be heard. If we tend to be the personality that overtakes the conversation, we should step back and practice stepping back and listening more and being an active listener. And so there's so much that we can do to help each other and improve each other without putting down somebody. So
that was a direct message to me, I think.
That's a direct message to you, but it could have been because a lot of the information flows freely from the council.
Yeah. You just made Bean's day.
I got a question from Donald.
Yeah.
I was just gonna. I actually just saw that too. Just so you know.
Okay.
I was just about to ask it, but you asked it.
People just say that they tell him that he has a question.
No. I know. I was going to ask it, but you ask it. You ask it now.
No, you ask it.
Okay. Well, from Don Prohashka, who's actually here, but I guess his microphone's off. He says, Don, please share more about the water beans. And then there's another part. I would like to know how to connect to the water beans and if they will come and assist with doing healings for humans, animals, and plants.
Okay, so the short answer is yes. Are you a healer, Donald? You can just nod.
He's a big time healer. Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't have his microphone on though.
Modalities that he can use at any time.
Yeah. I'm a healer. And I've worked on people on every continent on Earth.
So you do remote healing then, and your work that you do, and so I'm a Reiki master, so I can do remote healing. The water beings have worked with me in healing, so I think if you just consciously invite them, and like I said, how I think of them is like a sheet of water, and they're like, they have that movement of water, and I first ask them to come to you and do that scan of your, and I'd like to hear your input afterwards, is let them scan through your body, and then I think they would let you know exactly how they could heal, because a lot of people, we need our systems flushed, and potentially these water beings can flush and clean our cells and stuff, and they're from a different universe. And I understand.
Do they have a name? Do they have a name, or are they just called water beings?
I'm not good with star language. Let's see if I can. Let me write this down so I can sound it out here first. Then I'll type it for you too.
Oh, okay. Then I can write it down. Yeah, it's fun to change people's lives.
Oh, absolutely.
Could you do something for me?
Okay.
You bet.
I'm gonna type this in here. So okay, so let me put that up there so the group can see it. So pronunciation of that would be le alteun, and I am feeling like the energy vibration when I'm saying that. So le alte un, and to just invite them as, you know, welcome them to help purify and cleanse and help you with your healings. So le alte un. So that's new for me. So
I'll have to try it.
Yeah, I'm totally gonna do it. Yeah. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go home after my brother and my cousin leave. They're visiting from Idaho. They're gonna be here shortly. After they leave, I'm gonna try it myself.
So explain to people listening how you do it. You just say the name and say, "Can I connect with you?" Just feel you want to connect with them. Is that what it is?
I can kind of put myself into kind of like a relaxed state. Some people can put themselves in meditation if they want, but for me, just kind of that relaxed state, and then I would say the name several times over and then put my intentions there. And I might write it down too beforehand, just so that it's not mistaken.
Yeah, what I found works good for me is if you write like the name down and you put your fingers, you have to write it, not type it. You know?
Uh-huh.
And then put your fingers on the name while you're connecting, and that really helps.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It has to be your left hand.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's what. You know. And that really makes it.
Are you
cool.
Are you left-handed by any chance, Don?
No, I'm right-handed. I'm right-handed. Sorry.
I meant the other Don.
Okay.
We have two Dons.
Yeah. So what was your question?
Are you a left-handed person?
No. Okay.
Okay.
Your energy comes in from your left. Your information comes in from your left and goes out your right. So
well, I'm a left-handed person. I think that there's big differences between lefties and righties. Like there are, you know, really are. But
yeah.
any lefties here?
I'm left and right.
Ambidextrous. Right on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what hand do you bowl with, mate?
Left and right. I can bat left and right-handed too. Confuses the hell out of the bowlers. They don't know which side to put the spin on. I got no idea. I face up on the right and they go to put a spin on that. And as soon as they launch a ball out of their hand, I switch to the left and they just rub their heads and yeah, balls out of the field.
You're quite the cricket player?
Used to be when I was younger.
Oh. Well, the Kinks, my favorite band, they got a song called Cricket, I think, and it's just something about the demon bowler. But whatever. But it's a funny little song about cricket. You have to check that one out.
Last time I heard about cricket, I think was 10cc back in the 70s or early 80s. What was it? Dreadlock Holiday. I don't like cricket.
Yeah. No, this is actually about the game of cricket. You'll enjoy it. Look it up.
Yeah, I'll have to. Yeah, I used to enjoy cricket. Yeah. Cricket was good. Actually, I have a question, well, maybe for Dawn or for anybody who might have some information. Probably familiar, you know, whenever Australia's talked about, it's either the Opera House or it's Ayers Rock. Now, Ayers Rock at the moment, no one can walk on it anymore. The traditional tribes have said that's it. No one's walking up the rock anymore. They've been working on this for a while, but now it's done. But they also, you're not even permitted, even Google Earth has taken all its pictures down. You cannot even view the top of the rock through Google Earth. You know, the sacred landowners in Australia here have said, no, you can't even look at it from space. Wow. And I'm thinking to myself, there's something big going down at Ayers Rock, you know, and I've got no idea what it is. You know, well, you know, and I've got got a few ideas of what it could be, but no, I don't know for sure. And
just from the council, just so you know, to answer part of your question right there, is that there are specific battle spots. There are hot spots. There are hot spots where the enemy has a stronghold, and there are hot spots where the light has stronghold. And it looks like, I mean, there's a lot of like crazy information coming out of Australia as far as how they're treating people there, but I didn't know about the spiritual piece myself on a personal level on the rock. So my guess is that's going to be a hot spot, is why that's happening. They're either doing it to protect it and the light is holding that space, or, you know, there's a battle going on in that area.
Do you describe what's going on as a battle of light and dark or whatever? Like, is that how you look at it? Okay, so my question is, how many of the terrestrial, how many of us? No, this is an important question, man. How many of these, how many of
Peter's question, because I have some information on it. Because you can't just start a new question without answering the first one.
Okay. So
okay.
So
go ahead.
You're talking about that big rock. What I've heard is from that Stephen Strong fellow talks about how in December 21st of this year, the Palladians are coming down with a very big ship, and they have a piece of Earth's energy, like some kind of magic box. It's actually a rock, but they're calling it a box. And they're going to put this rock down there, and this rock is going to activate some of the major ley lines. Yeah, and that's what my understanding is, and that is a big deal, because I think one of the ley lines is going to go right up the South American coast, and then it goes, then another part of the ley line goes all the way over to Europe. And that's going to be like the foundation for a major shift. That it's going to anchor in a major shift that's going on. So and the Palladians and the blackfellas, you know, the First Nation people, they to them it's a big deal. And there's more to it. There's some other locations on Australia that they're supposed to activate too, that haven't been activated for a few hundred years or a few thousand years.
Oh, right. Well, that makes sense, mate, because that's what was on my mind when this went down. I thought, you know, there's going to be some activity there, and, you know, they don't want the general public to see it. Right. And the moment you said that they were going to drop a box, and before you even said activation, the first thing I was thinking of, there's going to be an activation.
Right.
And it's supposed to be the big. It's supposed to be the big one, really. Sort of put us over the top.
Well,
okay, so my question was, you know, what?
Before you ask your question, let me finish with this. So what you guys just brought up was back in 2016. I know that this High Council did a lot of work all around Australia in the waters, all around it back in 2016 in preparation for something bigger. So, and as we know, water can amplify whatever's happening. So if something is going to be brought there to create an activation, they have done pre-work in your waters all around Australia.
Yeah, I know they've been working there. I used to be a professional fisherman when I was younger. And I know that over the years and up until now, they have been closing more and more and more fishing grounds under the guise of, you know, improving fish stocks and stuff like that, which is rubbish, because they're still trawling the hell out of the bottom and right. tickling up the bottom and ruining the joint. But, you know, they've been closing off a lot of fishing grounds, and, you know, and yeah, I knew back then that, you know, that they weren't interested in the health of the fish population or anything like that. They were just interested in making sure that there was no boating in those areas, you know, no one hanging around for too long. So yeah, that makes sense too. That rings true.
So Brian, I'm gonna have to go because it's like just a few minutes before.
Okay. I just wanted to ask you this last question then,
All right.
and then we'll wrap it up. So, Battle of Light and Dark, how many of the terrestrial humans, like whatever you call them, the elites, the guys in the know or connected, how many of them are aware that there is a battle of, because they don't seem to be very awake, and like, they're the total opposite. How many are aware that there is a battle going on, and how many are they being controlled by the dark entities or the dark forces?
Okay, so what I have information on is that there are certain people around the planet who are in either royal families or they are in special positions that are actually with Team Light, that actually have been camouflaged and have been utilized. Basically, other beings, higher beings, can see through our eyes. They can taste what we taste. They can experience what we experience at our level without us even knowing that they're utilizing us. And many of these different families have good and light beings within their families. So you may have 90% dark in one royal family, and 10% of those people are light within the family. And so what the council has told me is that all of these people that are strategically placed, when the time comes, we're all going to know who they are. We're going to know who those light beings are. And even though
and the dark beings?
And the
dark beings will be real.
Yeah, and a lot of us already instinctively know who the dark people are.
Yeah, I think so.
So,
but are they aware? Are the dark ones aware, or are they just being manipulated? Are they aware of the big picture, what's going on, is what I meant?
Some are being used and manipulated by a higher dark being that's using them and their body and their wealth and all that stuff. But some of them are probably oblivious because they were born with that silver spoon. They're born living with wealth. They don't have to struggle. They don't have to worry about it. And so some of them are probably oblivious to what's going on.
So they're just doing the dark work without actually knowing what they're doing.
I think some of them are, absolutely. And the council has said that not everybody who's in a dark family or is, let's say they are running a dark corporation that is creating genetically altered food. Well, they may not know that the scientists who created that food added in something else into that genetic modification, because over here they're just voting and they're just supporting whatever is happening at this level. So they take that dossier or whatever, that file of information, and they rely upon it. And so how the council talked about how those people will be looked at is, once they're told the pure truth, that then they have to go through their own shadow work and their remorse and their, I'm sorry, and I had no idea. But we're going to know, we're going to see those people because they're not going to be afraid to stand up and basically apologize and basically step through that, whatever family history or whatever. They'll be able to step through it, is what the council has said. So.
Okay. Okay. Well, Don, I can see. I can see that you got to go. But listen, would you? You got a wealth of knowledge, and it just was a absolutely wonderful talking to you. Can you come back on sometime or whatever?
Absolutely.
You're welcome anytime.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can even just stop in and like the rest of these interlopers.
Absolutely. We're all on that path of growth too. And so what would be nice is if you're able to get it all up finally on Facebook and stuff. But if you take in a whole bunch of questions once you post it in your different groups, you can send me the questions and stuff.
Yeah. I've got no idea. This is the first time that happened, but I am going to post it. So people will be able to see it. And unfortunately, I couldn't go live this time.
You'll have to go and look at the questions yourself.
Okay.
Well, you're in the group, right?
Then when people have questions, then you can be answer them right there and tell them to call you up for a private session or something.
I might.
Okay.
So I don't
So
know if
you-
I'm in every single group that you share it to, but go ahead and add me to them if you want to. That's.
Well, you are in the pork
I'm
and
in
beans?
that one. I'm definitely in that one.
Okay.
But there might be people in other groups
Yeah.
because Mike said he shares it with different groups.
We didn't really share this with any groups because we didn't go live. So that's right now we're just it's just
'Cause
canned, and then we're gonna
Technical
Yeah.
difficulties.
Okay.
I'm hoping it's just a technical difficulty with Facebook or whatever. I hope it's not
it was the
my
Lords,
computer.
Lords
But
of
in any
Chaos,
event,
Lords of Chaos have got us by the short hair.
well, I mean, the day this show runs smoothly is the day I'm going to pull the plug on it.
So we
I
had
mean, that's the charm of
some
us, right?
smooth shows.
So
Did we?
yeah,
Yeah.
so I am gonna run because I've got coming
Okay.
in and I've got to get to the house so that I can open the door.
Okay. Well, okay. So then, thank you for coming by, and we love you, and we're all connected together. And on behalf of Port Cunningham and the world's handsomest man, Frank Oliver Baines. Thank you for stopping in and gracing us with your presence on the
Did
Pork
you
and
say
Bean Show. And
greasing- did you
everybody,
say
thanks for
greasing
showing up.
Thank
Did
you.
you say greasing us with your
What?
presence?
Yes.
Did you say
Well,
thank you for
I could say
thank you for
staining, but
greasing us with your presence?
Absolutely.
I said gracing, but you usually say staining, but
Okay.
because
All right.
Bye, guys.
Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Right.